Hey all, this is Chase from the All Blue crew, taking a look at round number 2. This is my Dofi adventure, and we're going to be playing a blue, I call it a blue mirror, but usually mirrors are the same leader, but it is, honestly, like, these two decks play very, very similar. Little surprise face cam back at the head action, but I'm going to be playing against Boa Hancock, the new mono blue leader from OP07. She kind of came in pretty hot, had a bunch of support running alongside her, a bunch of Seven of Warlords cards, but Dofi was like, hey there, can I get some of that action? Because my goodness, do these Seven Warlords cards do some work for Dofi as well. So honestly, this is like almost like a mirror match to the degree. Now Dofi is a little bit more aggressive because Dofi can, swing 7k at lead and then activate. And this is what I'm doing here. I am doing probably what I wouldn't recommend, but a very ballsy. I don't have anything better to do on turn 3. This was a second mulligan hand, and oh my goodness, I rip the Edward Weevil right off the top. Completely, I had no idea what was on top of my deck. This was a mulligan hand, so there was no Perona on 1, there was no Dofi on 3. So I honestly just kind of just guessed, like random off the top. So that, sometimes it's good. It's not too bad to hit the randos off the top, but I wouldn't recommend doing it on a normal basis. Just because usually that extra Dawn is just worth attaching to something and tacking a little bit extra damage. But I do get paid off here. End up drawing into another Edward Weevil, and then my goal into this game is to try to go high. Try to stay at a high life total, and oh my goodness, Jinbei into Moria. That is not what I want to see, especially in this like board control mirror of a game here. Jinbei is just amazing. Jinbei, a new addition from OP07, allowing you to play another Seven Warlords card from your hand if that's 4 or less. That's not Jinbei when he comes into play. Really great ripoff of Dofi, but at this point, I'm not seeing any. So I play a Perona here. I reveal 2 Dofis, a Perona, and just some other action, a Kaido that might become relevant at some point, and then just a body to put into play. So I'm trying to think here, like, do I want to play the Gecko? And I think I'm just going to swing 7, and probably 7/7. So probably 7 on the Dofi, 7 on the Edward Weevil. Put that 6k Gecko Moria into play, and then the next turn, draw that Perona, and then play the Perona, and then see if I can find something good, something better, with 2 new cards to look at. So this is kind of like that awkward part of Doflamingo, is sometimes if you just don't see what you want to see on top of your deck, you do have to kind of decide, do I want to keep playing with the top 5 cards of my deck, knowing that like 3 out of the 5 of them are cards I don't really want to see, or do I want to just kind of just blind it and throw them on the bottom and hope to like see another Searcher or another like Perona or Dofi to be able to like reorganize the top again with a new fresh 5. But honestly, like, it's kind of hard to like bottom the 5, right? Because you're really just putting yourself in unknown territory. And so, just like I said, you're gonna swing 7k, which I think one of them does end up getting 2Ks out, just to try to maintain a pretty steady life total here. We're both at 4 life. We're both gonna have a lot of cards in hand, and probably gonna be pretty healthy because we're both known for the heavy amount of 2Ks, and I think my opponent actually, I played him before, and he's kind of run the same list. I think he actually runs 16 2Ks. It's a little too much for my blood. I usually run between 10 to 12. 12 is usually my recommended, like, feeling safe. You could bump it up to 14, and I think this specific list I'm running 12. It's like 4 Mihawks, 4 Crocs, and then 4 of the Lulls from OP07 as well. Opponent looking here to also just push 7Ks because, again, we both know that 6Ks are going to be easily countered out of in this match. And my hand, is it not looking very good right now? I literally have 2K counter, and now I'm up to 3K counter in my hand. But this is just like, honestly, I had like a really, really powerful start, just like flopping, hitting that Weevil off the top of the deck. But at this point, I'm kind of in this like weird lull of like my hand is a little clunky. And I think my opponent noticed, like, hey, he just took a hit, right? He just took a 7k, take another 7k, and here I'm put into the Thunderdome of thinking, right? I decided I wasn't going to trigger that. If you do trigger Raging Tiger, it does allow you to put a bottom deck of 5 cost, but I was like, you know what? I am going to, be a little patient and keep that in my hand, because I'd rather get the 2-for-1 value out of this, because right now, like, this game, this whole match is going to be about board control. He's going to Raging Tiger me, I'm going to Raging Tiger him, right? And it's honestly who maintains the highest amount of characters on board after all the dust settles. And so I'm going to go up to our 7 Dawn turn. Now, this is like your textbook point where you would play the Gravity Blade. I'm not going to do it. I think about it. I have 2 decent targets, right? 2 5Ks that I can bottom deck. And obviously, Jinbei, never kill Jinbei. Always bottom deck Jinbei if you can. Because if you, trash KO Jinbei, trash Jinbei, whatever, Jinbei is very likely to be pulled out of the yard with that Gecko Moria that's sitting right next to him on the field right now. Allowing you to just buy back any 7 Warlords that cost 4 or less. That's not Gecko Moria. So I'm kind of incentivized right now to just... I definitely want to bottom deck the Jinbei, but I don't really care about the Moria. I'm kind of waiting for a juicier target. And so I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, do I want to just go ahead and, I'm on the 7 Dawn turn, just go ahead and Gravity Blade, or do I want to wait for something like maybe a Boa, right? Boa is a 6-drop that can also get bottom decked. And I know the Boa deck runs Boa, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and just send 7k at the Moria, basically saying, hey, I'm not going to play the Gravity Blade this turn. I'm going to wait for a juicier target alongside that Jinbei. And so we'll just send 7k. That's kind of an awkward thing to counter out of. Boa can definitely do it, but that's 2 cards out of hand. And then I'm going to go ahead and just like set up top. And so I kind of already know what's on top of my deck, at least 3 of the 5 cards, but we're going to kind of see if anything new appeared. And there is a Jinbei of my own just hanging out there. And so I'm going to go ahead and slowly move that towards the top. I do still have a Weevil in hand, which will hopefully draw me something that I set up next to it. And I've got a lot of top 5 reorganizers in the top of my deck right there. So I'm going to set it up to attach some Dawn to the leader, put the Jinbei into play, and then pull out the Weevil from hand, probably replacing Perona. And so like I'm feeling like I have a pretty good handle on the board at this point. I'm not even going to threaten Jinbei. I'm letting Jinbei chill. Because again, I do not want to put Jinbei in the trash, because the likelihood of him bringing it back from the trash and playing it again to punish me and fill up the board, it's very likely. So we're going to go ahead and just attach 2 to... I think about it for a second, but I'm like, nah, I really don't want to kill Jinbei here. I'm just going to go 7 at lead. And so I'm going to go 7. I'm going to pay the 1 Dawn, reveal the Jinbei off the top that I stacked. And then Jinbei's going to come into play, and I'm going to throw that Weevil right from my hand, just right onto the battlefield, because that card's doing nothing in my hand. It's a counterless card. It's going to come in, replace the Perona, and it's going to net me a card. So one of the cards I stacked, and that's that Perona. So I think I draw Perona, and then I think there's a Dofi on top right after that one. If you notice, I keep playing with Kaido on the top 5. I kind of don't want to draw Kaido. If you look at my hand, like I am kind of pretty heavy-handed on the amount of things in my hand. You got a Sanji, you've got 2 Boas, so I've already got a lot of big drops potentially. And I don't think I need the Kaido at this point. Also, Boa's being really protective of their life total as well. And Kaido only triggers if your opponent's at 3 or less life, and Boa's consistently stayed at 4. Boa kind of gets in this gameplay loop later in the game where they'll consistently have like 4 cards in hand, and then they'll 4 or 5 cards in hand, the 5th card being something that bottom decks something, and then they'll draw a card off of Boa's effect to kind of maintain being at 5. So Boa's not really that afraid to go lower in hand size. Dofi though likes to kind of stay higher in hand size. So gonna go ahead and send 6 into Jinbei. If you look at my hand, I have a Gecko Moria. Just chilling in my hand. So I'm like, at 6k, honestly, I am gonna block it here, because I think I do want to next turn potentially Gravity Blade or establish. There we go. So he ends up Gravity Blading me. Very unfortunate. It looks like I actually did swing. Now that I'm looking at it, I did swing 7k into that Jinbei. So I did put the Jinbei in the trash for him. I don't know why I decided to do that. But hopefully that's not something that comes back to bite me. But I did want to protect the Jinbei to make him commit more resources. And if you looked from that turn, he was trying to minimize my board, right? And so he's attacked the Jinbei, bottom deck my two Weevils, and then I'm like with just a Gecko on board. So by blocking with the Doflamingo, which again, it kind of already did its job coming in and letting me rearrange. And now I'm at 9 Don. He has Justice and Goku in play, and I have still 2 characters that can threaten. So here I'm just going to Perona again. We're going to keep looking at that same top 5. That poor Kaido is just going to keep getting tossed around in the hand. I can see that there is a Perfume Fever, a Pudding, and a 2K Mihawk, as well as another Perona. Though this top 5, honestly, it's not looking very good. I do have a Doflamingo in hand, so I do feel pretty safe about throwing that 5 on the bottom, because I know I can immediately look at the next top 5 and potentially still get something off the top with Doflamingo's ability. So that's like a pretty safe play there. I don't usually like putting cards on the bottom, but I would in that specific scenario. The only card that I potentially misplayed by losing was that Perfume Fever, which is a 1-of in the deck, which prevents the opponent from blocking a specific attacker. Which might actually become useful later in the game. So I do see a decent grip. There's a red rock in there, and then some 2Ks, but also just some 5K bodies as well. So I think I just stack the Croc on top, and then we're gonna go ahead and think about how I want to separate this Dawn. I've got a Jinbei that can attack. I've got a Moria that it can attack, and again, the golden number of fighting blue decks are 2Ks. 2Ks, 2Ks, or they have 2Ks, 2Ks, and 2Ks. So you want to go 7K, 7K, 7K. So yep, set up the Weevil on top. The Weevil's going to draw me into the Croc, and then swing 7K at lead. So again, that will require 2 cards out of Boa's hand. I think Boa's only rocking like 5 or 6 cards in hand now. And then I am thinking, do I want to? I can't split up the Dawn to do 2 7s, so I'm just going to start with a 7. With the Gecko Moria. Again, with only 5 cards in hand, Boa really has to pitch 2 resources regardless to get to counter this, and I'm gonna get 2. I'm gonna get it looks like a Pudding and a Mihawk out of hand, and then 6K at lead. This tells me that potentially Boa is running low on 2Ks, allowing themselves to go down to 2. Again, look at my board. My board has become very large again. And he's still got the Sengokus, and I still have the Gravity Blade in hand. So I'm sitting like in a pretty good spot right now. Yes, my hand doesn't have, it's becoming more counter in my hand, but my hand has definitely been not very great when it comes to protecting my things, because I just haven't seen a bunch of 2Ks compared to Boa's seen like 5 or 6 now. Another Gravity Blade could come out here to bottom deck my 2 6-drops. As soon as he doesn't attach any Dawn here, I'm like, okay, he's probably gonna Gravity Blade or something, potentially. So he's gonna go ahead and send 5. I believe the 5 is going at. I think it's going at me. No, going at Jinbei. So another here's that situation I told you about. Let's not put Jinbeis in the yard, right? Because we're blue decks with a Gecko Moria. We can just bring them back, right? Yeah, we don't have the superior Gecko Moria like black decks do, but we can still bring things back. And so he's gonna come and play a Boa. Boa's gonna bottom deck my Perona and then stop my Weevil from attacking. As it does bottom deck, Boa's leader effect will trigger and draw in the card. So he's gonna go back up to 5, and then he's gonna play out a Jinbei into a Moria. Oh no, and now he does have another Jinbei in yard, but he does decide, 2Ks are probably better because he did take that 6K willingly last turn, which tells me that like maybe his hand's running low on 2Ks, or maybe he didn't have any 2Ks. So he's built up a board. One of my things can't attack, and you know what? This is the like absolute perfect time for me to fire off that Raging Tiger. I was waiting for a juicier target, and the Boa is such a good target for Gravity Blade. So I'm at 10 Dawn, which allows me to do 2 things. It allows me to attach 2 Dawn to my leader and activate its ability while swinging, thus putting another card into play and Gravity Blading something. So I'll be able to at least swing 7, a 7 and a 6 this turn, and put something into play off the top of my deck and bottom deck 2 threats. I'm definitely going to bottom deck Boa for sure, and likely Jinbei, because again, I don't want to send Jinbei to the trash because I don't want to give Boa an opportunity to bring it back. And I still have that Gecko Moria in hand, so I potentially later in the game have the opportunity to get back a Jinbei if I want to fill out the board again if my board kind of gets smaller. Ooh, all right. Gonna go ahead and send 7k. I actually might be thinking not to use the leader effect this turn. So 7k lead, I might go 7k again. So he does red rock the blocker off of a trigger, which it is what it is. I'm still at 3 life, and I'm definitely gonna be gravity blading this turn. So like I'm not very afraid of being lethaled out, right? Because I'll leave him with at least 2 characters on board, one of which is a Sengoku, who's very small. And I think right here, yes, I am going to just swing 7 and not activate the effect. I think right at this turn, I wanted to prioritize just pushing damage because I knew that Boa just like didn't have the cards in hand to be able to counter out of things. Yep, and there's the Gravity Blade. Gravity Blade's going to come down, clean up the two very intimidating threats. And now my board is sitting pretty decently. If he does Gravity Blade me, then that is unfortunate. But at the end of the day, I'm at 3. And he's at 1. And he's actually he's at 2 characters on board and 0 life. So feeling good so far. I think six cards in hand. I've also got 6 cards in hand. Now again, my hand it's starting to get better because I put a lot of 2Ks on top, but I think I only have 3K in hand. I will take that, setting myself down. And then another 5K. I believe he's just sending all of these at lead. Trying to pressure me, trying to finish game, so I will counter out of that one because I do want to stay at like a relatively decent life total. And then looks like here's a Gravity Blade. Oh my goodness! So it is the battle of Gravity Blades. How many Gravity Blades can we both cast on each other? I've cast 1, he's cast 2. My board is gone, and all he's got left is Sengoku. He's gonna go ahead and pay 3. He's gonna play a Doflamingo to ensure I can't just attach 10 to lead to swing him out. So this is that situation where I was like, hey, that Perfume Fever card probably would have been pretty nice to have at some point. But unfortunately, I don't have that. Now, I do have a Red Rock in hand. If I really wanted to, I could Red Rock the blocker and then swing 9k. But I honestly didn't feel very confident in that play. And that could potentially set me up to die. And so, with only like... Oh, I drew another 2k. Now I got 5k in hand. Like, I guess I could Red Rock and then attach 4 and just pressure and try to get 3 cards out of hand. But my kind of goal here was to disrupt a little bit and build and start to rebuild the board. And so I'm eyeballing those boas in hand. I'm taking a look at that Gecko as well to maybe allow me to have a play for next turn too. And so I think based on this attack here... Okay, yeah, so we're going to go ahead and send 5 at lead. So this is an opportunity for him to just counter out of it or just block. And so he's just going to give me a 2k. I'm happy to get a 2k out of hand for that, because that just tells me that maybe his hand doesn't have a lot of counter in it. We're going to play Gecko Moria. The Gecko Moria is going to bring back that Jinbei. And then make sure we pay for that. Yeah. And then we're going to tap the other 6, and we're going to play out the nicer looking boa out of hand, the Altart boa. And we're going to stop the Gecko from attacking. We're going to bottom deck that Sengoku. Nice little extra like effect of boa just being able to bottom deck a one drop. It's kind of, I always thought that was kind of weird, and honestly it's kind of a forgettable part about her effect. It's not always relevant, but in this game it's been pretty relevant. They bottom decked a Perona for me, and I bottom decked a Goku for them. Just the front end of her effect is just enough, right? Stopping a character other than Monkey D. Luffy from attacking for the next turn is just like solid enough of a play on an 8k body. But the fact that it also can bottom deck. Speaking of bottom decking, that is the 4th Gravity Blade we've seen this game. I've cast 1. He has now cast 3 of them, right? He's cast 3 of them. I think that's his 3rd. Yeah, that is insane. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting him to do that again. Though now I've kind of set myself up to do like a pretty much a repeat play next turn, so I can go Boa into something, probably the Jinbei. And so I'm probably gonna like Boa Jinbei. Now I have a Moria in hand. Boa Jinbei, Moria out, and then pull up a 2k. Because at this point I still could like Red Rock, but I'm still not feeling very confident in that play. So I'm just gonna send 5 at lead. He does decide to counter out of it for one, which obviously he should do. He doesn't want to lose that blocker at any point, so I'm going to go ahead and just play Jinbei. Jinbei is going to play out a Moria from hand, and then Moria is just going to grab. I'm going to take a gander at the yard here. Not a lot of cards in the yard because most of my cards have been bottom decked. And I'm going to grab that 2K, and then we're going to play out a Boa again. The Boa is going to come out and stop Moria from attacking yet again, and so it's kind of like a deja vu moment for my opponent as I play a very similar turn to the last turn. This time, though, putting an additional body on board, so even if he Gravity Blades me for another time, I at least still have 2 attackers, and he's got 1 blocker at this point. So this match turned very grindy all of a sudden. If I had that Perfume Fever, man, I could have just finished the game pretty quickly. And that was kind of a thing. I was slowly like hitting myself, you know, like, come on, man, like why'd you bottom deck that, right? You could have just left it on top, drew it for the next turn, and then Doflamingo to put everything on the bottom. But that turn, honestly, like, yes, I needed, you know, Perfume Fever would have been nice, but we can see here, this is now like a last-ditch effort. This is, yeah, so we see another, we go ahead and take it because we've got 5 2Ks in hand, and so he's just kind of a last-ditch effort to try to finish me off, so he's just going to go, yeah, so I'm going to counter out of that pretty easily. So yeah, he sent 10 and then 9, and he's just going to concede because his hand had 3K counter in it, so I guess that one turn, last turn, I could have red rocked and then swung 9K, and I would have defeated him. But yeah, that was an incredibly grindy match. Luckily, with my early aggression, I was able to reduce Boa down farther than Boa was reducing me in life totals, and then I was able to clean it up. And so yeah, that was a game definitely showing off the Gravity Blade, and was definitely ended up kind of being like a weird tough match. And with that, we'll move into round 3 in the next video. Thanks for watching.